Hey there and welcome back to Mass Effect 2. My name is Pete and today we complete another slightly shorter episode as we are looking to complete the Lost Operative quest for Cerberus. In the previous episode we visited the crash site of the Normandy and we're not going to leave the Omega Nebula just yet. The Lost Operative assignment also takes place here, and since that is quick and easy to complete, let's get right to it. The assignment itself is pretty straightforward. Cerberus has contacted us because they believe Eclipse mercenaries are holding one of their operatives and we are now being sent to investigate. And with Cerberus we are still not on what I would call good terms. However, after the events of Omega, our relationship with the Eclipse is arguably even worse, and who knows what we'll be able to find. Now, to get to our destination, we need to fire up the galaxy map and leave the Armada system and head over to the neighboring Fathar system. Here we now find a few planets that we could scan, but let us first head over to the planet Lorek, where EDI quickly discovers a distress signal.
I have detected an anomaly.
General distress. Beacon auto process interrupted at parse point ACO 655321. Status of...
I have found something.
Right, so we found the location of the mercenaries and/or the operative. Before we go planetside, however, let's use our remaining probes. Since our mineral reserves are looking pretty solid at the moment, planet scanning from here on out will not be as exhaustive as it was in the previous episodes. We will still go up until the planet is depleted, but we will no longer bother with some of the smaller deposits. In the end, Lorek here gives us about 5,000 units of iridium, about 14,000 units of platinum, and just about 5,000 units of palladium. You can get a bit more than that by spending a few more probes, but for us it should be more than enough, so let's head down and see what we can find. Now for this mission we will take Miranda with us. She is an excellent squad member here because of her overload ability, which also allows us to work a bit more towards the overload specialist achievement. Squad member number 2 will then be Jacob, because combining his pull and Miranda's warp ability, that will hopefully also get us closer to the Tactician achievement. With both Miranda and Jacob we then have 4 points to spend on powers, and of course we are going to max out and evolve their class-specific powers. In Miranda's case, that is the Cerberus Officer. Both ability evolutions here are pretty decent, as they not only give bonuses to Miranda but also to the entire squad, and once again we can choose between offense and defense. The bonuses for Miranda always remain the same, but Cerberus Leader gives the squad higher weapon damage, while Cerberus Tactician increases the squad's health. And as always on Insanity difficulty, I think the best defense is a good offense. Getting hit is going to hurt no matter what, so let's make sure we can competently hit back, and we'll do so by selecting Cerberus Leader. Up next, we now have a very similar situation with Jacob, who will also get the 4th and final upgrade for his Cerberus Operative ability. And once again, we can choose between health and weapon damage, with Cerberus Veteran increasing Jacob's survivability and Cerberus Specialist boosting his damage output. And also once again, we'll take damage over health. Provided we'll be able to keep our squad in cover for the most part, the damage boost will simply be a lot more useful to us. And with that we can get going, no upgrades for Shepard himself, and we also don't make any changes in the weapon screen. However, we do want to make sure to take the M77 missile launcher with us. And here we are, outside of what looks to be a small facility in the rocks, and our first order of business is to turn on incendiary ammo for Jacob. Afterwards we'll quickly loop around and behind the boxes here, because that's where we can find 1,200 units of platinum. The game informs us that we can now afford the medbay upgrade, but instead let's focus on the task at hand. It is time to head inside of the facility and we are quickly met with some resistance. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we will use this first firefight here to work on several combat-related achievements, and since most of the enemies we encounter here have relatively weak shields, our main focus lies on Overload Specialist. We have already successfully used Overload 14 times to remove an enemy's shields, and in this firefight we will able to add 3 more to the list. Now, strategy-wise, it is generally a good idea to stay behind cover near the entrance. The enemies here are not too strong, but they are numerous, and they are equipped with assault rifles and machine pistols, so it is unfortunately all too easy to get caught in the crossfire. We now also earn ourselves the first of 2 more kills towards the Merciless achievement, as one of the Eclipse troopers dies by going up in flames, all thanks to Jacob's incendiary ammo power. The 3rd successful use of Overload then gets our counter up to 17, so only 8 more are needed until we have the achievement unlocked. The Merciless counter, by the way, is up to 15, requiring only 5 more. Now, there is one higher level enemy in this group, an Eclipse Vanguard to be precise, and that one will aggressively try to flank as long as we are being pinned down by the regular troopers. That is also why I think you should take out the troopers first, ideally before the Vanguard can get into a more dangerous position. Once the Vanguard is then isolated, it is relatively easy to take it out as long as you keep your distance. The Vanguard's shotgun can definitely hurt at close range, but we can also use Warp to take out the barrier, and now we only need to do that 24 more times until we have unlocked the Warp Specialist achievement. In the meantime, a well-placed pole immobilizes our enemy, and we can now gang up on her and take care of the rest. Our first priority after the fight is to collect as much ammo as we can, because spoiler alert, we are not done yet. There are also some consoles on the left here that we will interact with in a moment, but before we do, we want to check out the room in the back here, where we can find a medkit as well as a wall safe. And this wall safe is the only source of money in this mission, so make sure not to miss it. Heading back out, we now want to access the logs on the security console, because they give us some details on what happened between the Eclipse and the Operative. As always, feel free to pause if you want to have a thorough read. I'll just quickly go over the key points. The first entry here talks about targeting Cerberus agent Tyrone Rawlings, and it also makes mention of some encrypted Cerberus data, which could potentially connect the group to Rachni experiments. Now, from Mass Effect 1, we already know how that went. If you want to have a closer look yourself, feel free to check out episodes 59 to 61 of that playthrough, which you should be able to find in a card on screen right now. The Eclipse believe Rawlings to be in the possession of a cipher to decrypt the data, and so unsurprisingly, in the second entry here we learn that they have successfully captured him. However, in the final entry we learn that Rawlings' interrogation has failed. The agent proved to be very resistant, which in the end, and I quote, caused tempers to flare, ultimately leading to Rawlings' death. So no cipher for the Eclipse, but they still have the data, and let's see if we cannot get our hands on that ourselves. And bypassing holding cell access sounds like the perfect way to proceed, so let's do exactly that. Right, this now unlocks a few doors, but also prompts a new wave of enemies, so let's get everyone into cover. Once again, we will be focusing on achievements. However, this fight is a bit harder than the one before, so of course survival is our #1 priority. After getting another successful overload for the Overload Specialist, we now want to switch over to the missile launcher, because we have not yet killed an enemy with that, and doing so gets us one step closer to the Master at Arms achievement. For that achievement, we need to kill enemies with 5 different heavy weapons, and after using the grenade launcher in the prologue, this now marks #2. Another enemy in flames then gives us another kill towards the Merciless achievement, and shortly after we also get successful overload #19. Now, however, things get a bit more interesting because a few high-level enemies have joined the party. The most prominent among them is the Solarian mercenary Morl, who not only possesses strong shielding and armor, but also the Incinerate and Combat Drone abilities. On top of that, he also wields one of the better submachine guns in the game, making him without a doubt the most dangerous enemy in this assignment. Still, just like in the previous firefight, it is a good idea to take out his henchmen first, because Morl himself can take quite a bit of damage, which allows troopers and the like to loop around for flanking shots. Morl possesses the Tech Armor ability, an ability that eventually allows him to recover his shields after they have been removed. So once we have the shields down, conveniently enough we do that with another overload, we should now hurry a bit and take him down quickly in order to prevent his shields from regenerating. Obviously, a nice and easy way to do that is to use the missile launcher again, but a few well-placed shots with the sniper rifle would probably work just as well. The missiles now make quick work of Morl's armor and we can switch back to the assault rifle, and with Morl entirely unprotected we can also further our progress for the Tactician achievement by combining Jacob's pull and Miranda's warp power for a nice warp detonation. The rest is then a walk in the park, a few more shots from the assault rifle take him down, and we are now left with one single enemy who conveniently enough up until now has not moved an inch. A single Eclipse Vanguard stands between us and the end of the fight, and removing its biotic barrier with Miranda's warp also gets us one step closer to the Warp Specialist achievement. Now, we could quickly go for the killing blow, but I want to end this firefight in style, and so we wait for a moment until Shepard has recovered a bit. Then, with the Vanguard at low health, we storm out and also promptly catch a warp, but that is not enough to hinder us from landing the fatal punch and shoot combo, which gets us the 7th kill for the Brawler achievement.
Right behind you.
Sure thing.
And with that, the second and final firefight of this assignment is successfully completed, and we can now wrap the mission up. Our next target is the small outside area over here, where hidden behind a gas tank we can find a further 800 units of platinum. And this small bit of loot can easily be missed, because heading through the next door marks the point of no return for this mission. As you know, we unlocked the holding cell area earlier, and now only one single door stands between us and the conclusion of this mission. Inside of a bloodied interrogation room we can then also find the remains of Agent Rawlings, but there is of course no more saving him, so let us at least see what we can do with the data.
This computer contains the encrypted intelligence extracted from the captured Cerberus agent. The information could adversely affect Cerberus if it were ever circulated publicly.
Alright, we have 3 options at this point and all of them come with their own implications. Handing the data over to the Alliance would of course allow them to severely damage Cerberus's image, but of course we would no longer have any control over how and when that happens. Giving the data back to Cerberus would allow them to cover their tracks, which I think is out of the question. So I think the best way to handle this is to take the data for ourselves. That way we leave all options open and can hold on to the data until we need it, either to use it against Cerberus or in their favor.
Data received.
And here we are, that's another mission completed. We gain a small amount of experience points, 125 to be exact, and together with Cerberus's funding for this mission we earned just about 8,000 credits. We also found all 2,000 units of platinum, and that's all this mission has to offer, so let's close the report and return back to the Normandy. Now the mission is completed, but we have some more business to attend to, and of course I'm talking about more mineral scanning. Now I will try to speed this up a bit. There are 2 more planets in the system that we haven't surveyed yet. The first one is Korar, which gives us about 11,000 units of iridium, 5,000 units of platinum, and about 8,000 units of palladium. Again, I only used about 10 probes and it is possible to get more, but we have enough and the planet is depleted, so let's move on. The third and final planet in the system is Dorgal, and here I found roughly 3,000 units of iridium, almost 14,000 units of platinum, and a further 5,000 units of palladium. Now, in between scanning sessions I had to go back to restock and refuel, so we now have enough fuel to continue with the Batala system.
Only half our fuel remains.
This system also consists of 3 planets and there are no missions to be found here, and since we only have 10 probes left we'll start with Nerok, the outermost planet in the system, and also one that only has a moderate yield. Now I had to go back to restock once more because it took me 11 probes to get this one depleted, but this is an element 0 planet so it's worth it, and in the end we leave with about 3,500 units of element 0, 2,500 iridium, 4,000 platinum and 4,000 palladium. Moving on, we now have plenty of probes as we enter orbit around Thunawa Nuro, and this one took me a while despite only being a good yield planet. In the end I had to use 16 probes for 6,000 units of element 0, 3,500 iridium, roughly 8,500 platinum and 7,000 palladium. 13 probes are left, so let's use those to travel to Logaziri, the third and final planet in the system. And despite only being a moderate planet, it took me all 13 probes to deplete this one, in the end leaving me with 3,000 units of iridium, 5,000 platinum and 9,000 palladium. Now I will skip ahead a bit. I quickly went to restock and refuel, and we are now heading over to the Kyra Vamori system. This is the last system we'll visit in this episode. We will have to visit the Arin Larkin system for a quest later on in the game, so we'll leave it be for the moment. The first of 3 planets here is Vatar, which gives us a whopping 14,000 units of iridium, 4,000 platinum, and about 4,500 palladium. 1 down, 2 more to go. Our next stop is Zetor, a rich planet that gives us a further 13,000 units of iridium, 6,000 units of platinum, and 5,000 units of palladium. And that now leaves us with only 1 more planet to go in this episode, and our third and final stop in the system is Uan Oche. Another interesting name, and the planet itself has something to offer as well, as we leave this one with just over 10,000 units of iridium, 4,500 units of platinum, and last but not least with just under 6,000 units of palladium. And that also concludes our scanning in the Omega Nebula for the moment. Like I said, there is 1 more system left to survey, but we'll get to that in due time when we complete the mission that comes with it.
Commander, you've received a new message at your private terminal.
For now, Kelly informs us that we have a new message, so let's have a closer look, and we can actually see 2 here, the first one coming from Edie. This is the report that Edie has begun decryption on the data we recovered earlier, but it is also estimated here that the entire process will take at least a year, if not more. Our decision in this assignment is therefore unlikely to have an immediate impact, and so let's continue with the next message. Now this one is interesting as it comes from Finch, a member of the Rats. The Rats were Shepard's former gang when he grew up back on Earth, and we actually met Finch back on the Citadel in Mass Effect 1. Back then he was pretty shady, but now he seems a lot more supportive, openly stating that he wishes us good luck in our quest against the Collectors. And I would say at this point we can use all the support we can get, even if it only comes in the form of an email. Now there is one final thing to take care of before we wrap up today's episode, and that is to spend some of our hard-earned minerals on research. However, looking at the weapon upgrades, there is nothing we can research at the moment, and the same is true for the armor upgrades as well. Now, there is the medbay upgrade and the ship enhancements, which once researched would immediately remove all of Shepard's facial scars. Now, I'm not quite sure whether or not I want to do this at the moment. We will leave it be for now, but I would be happy to hear your opinion in the comments. Should we accelerate the healing process, or should we let the scars heal naturally through our paragon choices? Now, there is one project we can research though, and that is the M622 Avalanche. This is another heavy weapon that would of course help us get closer to the Master at Arms achievement, and it can actually be a very useful weapon if used correctly. We'll talk a bit more about that once we actually head out into the field with it. For now, we add another heavy weapon to the arsenal, and with that, complete everything I had on my to-do list for today's episode. Next time, we will then likely continue with one of the major plot missions, recruiting either the Warlord or the Convict. Feel free to let me know in the comments which one sounds more intriguing to you. I don't really have a preference at the moment, so I think you can decide this one. With that being said, for today we'll make the cut right here. As always, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, then I would be happy if you could leave a thumbs up. And of course, if you want to support the channel further, then you can either subscribe if you haven't already, or you can of course also check out and maybe pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.